everyone, and welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. I am indeed Captain Logan. Right behind me tonight is special guest, the Geoff.
Hello, Geoff.
Welcome, Geoff. Thanks for being here. Did you preempt it because you were afraid that I would forget the article adjective?
I wondered if you'd remember.
Okay, well, I remember every time. In fact, sometimes when you're on, I use article adjectives for other people. And as always, here is my chat moderator and producer, the DJ.
I am a DJ.
Oh, you're just a DJ?
I'm a DJ.
He's also a Geoff. Like, there's other people with that name. You know, I gotta tell you, I was on Facebook the other day, and just on a whim, I looked up my own name to see if there were other, like, James Williamson spelled with a Y. For people who don't know, little known fact, that's my actual name, and Logan's my middle name. That's where we get the Captain Logan from.
You have now been doxxed.
And I felt a little bit less unique, because there's like 4 or 5 of us. And I was like, oh. Like, it's not as bad as when I look up most people's names and there's like 80 of them.
Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, there are exactly 147 DJ Martinez's, and most of them are baseball players.
Are there really exactly 147?
I don't know. There's a million.
Those statistics you make up on the spot.
When I opened my SoundCloud channel, I discovered somebody with the exact same name as my brother, spelled correctly and everything.
Really?
He's in Germany somewhere.
Then your brother's not, so...
Doesn't know us?
That you know of.
Apparently.
Dropping beats in Germany.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. We are doing the show this week earlier than normal. Usually we do this on Wednesdays, and when that doesn't work out, we do it on Fridays. This week, I was not available either day, so we had to go for kind of a weird day. So thanks to everybody for popping in. If you're here, and sorry if this was a not great night for everybody, we're going to do a regular Ask Me Anything show tonight, but it's an unusual show. Because I love you. It's going to be an unusual show because we've got the Geoff, and we're also going to have a goal tonight. So tonight's goal, $75 goal for Super Chats. We're going to do a top 10 list or ranking video chosen by you guys if we hit the goal tonight. So if we hit the goal at the very, very end, I'll ask for suggestions. DJ, if folks happen to mention stuff throughout, and you see them, feel free to write it down, but I'm not going to expect you to notice all that. I'm going to ask people not to do that until the end of the show. And this is going to be like an off-the-cuff thing, probably, most likely not a written thing, because I'm in the middle of working on a rewind right now. So this is not for like a top 10 episodes list for a rewind or something like that. If it's a show I know really well, I could do like a quick top 10 episode thing. I'm open to that, but it wouldn't be like the thorough, complex, scripted thing that I usually would do on a rewind. But if you wanted like a ranking list of particular kind of movies, or you wanted like, you know, top 10 something in comics or just comics in general, whatever it is. We're going to take those suggestions at the end, provided we hit the $75 for the goal, and I will make that video and post it for you next week if we hit that.
If not, forget it.
Yeah, if not, it's just not going to happen. You're just not going to get it. And we'll never do that again. No, I'm kidding. Again, weird night.
Sir.
You get nothing. Weird night, not necessarily expecting even a big turnout tonight. And DJ, once again, the YouTube counter is not working. So screw that. It's gone. Okay? No more viewer
Good day, sir.
For a good day, sir. And I'm never using it again because it worked for exactly 2 shows and never again. I don't know what is up with that thing. Like...
And you were so excited the first day you used it.
And it was fine. And when it's like, that's a widget that should work fine. And then when it didn't work the next show, I was like, okay, well, it's probably just stuck and confused because it was used for a previous show. So I'll just replace it every time with the exact same widget. But like, you know, wiping everything out. It's still not working. So fine.
Somebody at YouTube noticed, hey, a feature that people like, we'd better kill it.
Blue Dragon 5 says, purple hair brings out my inner Gene Wilder. Nah, just hanging out with DJ, really, because we talk about that movie all the time. In fact, we're going to do a commentary on that.
Really?
Yeah, we've been talking about it.
Did you get that? I sent you that weird message the other day about that scene in the movie. Did you understand what I was talking about?
I don't even remember what you're talking about right now.
I sent that. I was reading my son that book of like Irish folklore, and I never knew that was where they got that scene from. The old creepy man with the cart.
Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, that's what I sent you.
Weird.
Mountain, down the Russian glen.
Yes. That's what it was.
Wow, that is obscure.
Dare not go a hunting for fear of little men. Yeah, that was it. Was in the book of folklore,
I guess
and I sent it to you.
Geoff knows it. But did you know that it was old Irish folklore?
From somewhere else.
Okay.
I couldn't have told you exactly where.
It's cool that guy was actually Irish though in that scene. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Or at least he had an Irish accent. I don't know if he was actually Irish.
As always, folks, if at any time in the show you would like your question or comment to be read on air, you can guarantee that happens with the Super Chat, and we sure appreciate anybody who wants to support the channel in that way. If you don't want to do that, or you can't do that, no problem. Leave a pre-written question. Once again, it's all pre-written because it's written down, and then we look at it later, but leave what I keep calling a pre-written question, and we'll get to as many of those throughout the show as possible as well. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to, any pop culture news going on right now, sci-fi stuff, comic stuff, superhero stuff, and if we have time, I will also show off some new acquisitions later on in the show. DJ, are you ready to get started, sir?
I'm ready.
All right.
I said, are you ready?
We're just all going to do really ridiculous accents throughout the show this evening. This is the nice thing about the Captain Logan show. Really, anything goes. Like, when people ask me, like, what's the show about?
Yes.
It's not... I'm like, it's not up to me. It's
Yes.
I'm gonna start saying that. That's the best. What's your show about? Mm-hmm.
It's about.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Wow, that's deep. That's very deep. Okay. Somebody says YouTube's streaming system is broken, but maybe it was just that person was just talking about the view count widget, which is not a YouTube problem. That's an OBS problem. DJ, you got a question for us?
Yeah, I got a quick one here.
It's Ask Me Anything. You guys ask us anything.
The Wanderer. I'm sorry, just
Jeff's
Wanderer.
Here, you can ask Geoff questions too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got some for Geoff.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Well, they're for the Geoff. This one's from Wanderer.
Sorry, go ahead.
So Wanderer asks, and I just talked about this like an hour ago with you. Is Captain Logan going to make the Power Rangers 2017 movie commentary public?
Oh, wait, crap, have I not done that? I should do that. Here's the thing. There are several episodes of Morphin Mania that are not public right now because we have, at least for the moment, elected to not continue with that show because I've streamlined the channel and there wasn't a ton of interest in it. And we all had a really great time doing it. Geoff was here for like 25% of them or more. I mean, we were having a great time with it.
It was a whole new world for me.
It's kind of nice because this is a dynamic we're all used to. Like, we're saying, like Jeff's a guest, but, like, we're all veterans for this particular dynamic.
I remember when.
It just doesn't feel like it was that long ago, Geoff. But anyway, so short answer on that is yes, and it didn't even occur to me that it wasn't. I should go ahead and make at least that one public because a lot of people will be interested in our talking about that movie. DJ and I still have got to figure out how we're going to handle the rest of it. Do we just make it all public at once? Easy. Just flood everybody's boxes. Do we
That'd be great.
Like it is and not start posting them again until we eventually, if we decide to keep going with it? I don't know how to handle it yet. So.
Well, we haven't posted any of season 3, except for one episode.
We need to at least get Mighty Morphin out. But the problem is I don't want to post more than 3 or 4 videos a week.
Have any of the ones I was in been posted?
Yeah. Well, when did you start coming in?
I don't remember.
Yeah, he was there when Rocky and Aisha and them were leaving, so that was season 2.
Okay, so some of that you have, yeah. So there are people that have seen you if they weren't there, if they weren't one of the 12 people that were watching that live, yeah.
Part of the viewing several.
All I'm seeing in the comments right now are people talking about Pixar and my crazy hair. DJ, give us another.
Yeah, how's it going? How's it been going? You're a week in now? What do you think? Have people been talking to you about it?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't get a ton of reaction about it, which I always wonder if that's because A, people are just trying to be polite because they think it looks really, really bad, or if it's because B, we just live in an era where that's not as weird as it used to be. Like
we do.
I don't know. Like when I'm out in public, I don't get a lot. Occasionally, there's a glance where what I notice most is people just kind of doing this. Like they'll just kind of like look up for a second, like.
My eyes are down here.
Is that the color it is? Okay, I guess it is. And then they just move on, and who cares? But it's not been a massive distraction.
Is that natural?
And I was gonna, after we did the show last week, where I promised that I would have purple hair, I was going to go ahead and try to wash it out pretty quick if it was like a big distraction or if everybody told me it was terrible. And I haven't had that. The places.
Prince?
in the places in which people have complimented me on it most have been the places you would expect, like Hot Topic and places like that. I go to the mall and I fit right in, that's just fine. My wife doesn't love it, but she doesn't have a problem with it. Eric hates it. Eric thinks it's awful. And he's like, you do whatever you want to, man, but I don't what he told me was, he said, I stand by what I said in After Dark. Colored hair doesn't look good on men unless they're punk rockers. To which, I can't remember who it was, Brandon or someone was like, well, then I guess now, Cap, you have to be a punk rocker. And I thought that was really funny. But yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to hang on to it yet for any amount of time. The sides are already starting to darken up. So they said that it would hold until like the end of July, but I'm actually not optimistic that most of it it's not going to mostly fade before then. So I don't know. It's going to be expensive to keep it up if I decide to keep it up, and I don't know if it's fun right now, but I don't know if it's something that I care enough to do to keep paying for it. So
the classes I TA'd, it was like being in an anime.
Did you see it a lot?
Red, blue, green.
Okay, but it was probably still mostly girls, right?
Yes.
I don't run into a lot of men that try it.
Not straight men.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't gotten.
Well, I went to art school. There's quite a few.
I'm sorry, what, DJ?
I went to art school. There's quite a few.
Sure, yeah. But anyway, I don't want to spend the whole night talking about that, but
Let's move on.
Somebody asked, so yeah. Go ahead.
Here's a question I would like to hear the answer to.
Okay.
Geoff, what would you pitch for a Pixar film?
Golly.
Do it now.
I should have prepped you for this before we started.
Yeah, a fastball, I think.
Okay, while you're thinking, can I do one just very briefly? Okay. Phones! Sorry.
They did. It was called the Emoji Movie.
Okay.
That was not Pixar, and it showed.
Phones.
I don't even know if Pixar could make an emoji movie work.
Like the different in-home voice-assisted devices having a civilization of their own. Like all the Amazon
Alexa versus
Google thingy and the Siri thing, forming a band of adventurers and saving a lost child from, I don't know, Russian cyber hackers.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. That's kind of, except for that last part. That's kind of like taking.
Granted, South Park has already done this, but still, it could be good.
Yeah, that's kind of taking like the last Wreck-It Ralph to like the next level. But it's also hilariously close to what the Child's Play remake is about, except horrifying. Which I just posted a review of that, but I liked a lot. I didn't expect anything from that movie.
Dim the lights.
And it was, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it was like 18 times better than it had any right to be. And like the kills were really clever, and there's some nice satire and social commentary in that movie. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I recommend it. Even if, and especially if you've never seen the original Child's Play, because the premise is almost like a different thing. But it has the comedic sensibilities of the original, and that was the first slasher film I ever saw. Way too early to like. My dad let me see that movie when I was like 11 or 12, or maybe younger, and I wasn't ready for that. But I've always had nostalgia for it, and I almost didn't go see this new one. Like I didn't think it should exist. I had issues with it existing, and I still do to a degree. But mad props, it's good.
I'm sure some folks felt the same way about Detective Pikachu.
Oh, yeah.
How could they fail to absolutely offensively destroy this thing I loved in my childhood?
Yeah, and then they didn't.
And it's all right.
It's fine. Yeah. Blue Dragon 5 says, I already pitched a Pixar film with my novel. That's true, except it's like the Orwellian version. Like, sort of like Onward looks like, from that trailer, that it's going to be like if Bright wasn't like a rated R film and was for children. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I've never pitched a film. I've pitched a few DVDs, and they never play well afterwards.
Moving on.
Good one. Go ahead, AJ.
Here's a super chat from T-Edge1. He gives us a $5 super chat. How has your appreciation of music affected your opinion in film/shows? Also, fix Smallville, go. You rock. Oh gosh, there's no punctuation. I'm struggling. Fix Smallville. Go. You rock. Your hair looks like a grape. I mean, great.
So I'm gonna work backwards. Agreed.
Lol.
Is the first thing. I want to work backwards, DJ. Fix Smallville.
What's eating Gilbert Grape anyway?
My response to this, this is of course a thing that I have spent a lot of time thinking about. My response to fixing Smallville is always leave season 1 exactly like it is, but two things need to happen in the cliffhanger over that. Spoilers for a 14-year-old show. Lex has to let his father die. As much as I like John Glover and I love some stuff that Lionel does later, he's got to let his dad die, and Lana has to find out that Clark has powers. And I think immediately, a lot of the stuff that sucks after that, you just can't even do anymore. I think that helps a lot. So you start by fixing that cliffhanger, and then after that, you allow status quo to naturally change, and you don't keep handcuffing yourself with your series Bible. And you let Clark actually be proactive and like grow and change, like, you know, a protagonist in a TV show. Yeah, so that's how you fix Smallville. That's the short answer. I mean, there's a million things I could say, but and stick to whatever. Like, stop retconning stuff. Stick to whatever you've actually, even if it's dumb, like, you're stuck with it. Okay, like we can't have two Jarrells. Okay, you can't have that, and we do. So anyway. What was the rest of that?
I have a 4-pound sledgehammer that I think could fix Smallville admirably.
This is another really, or you just pitch the DVDs, yeah. Right? You just pitch them into a ravine. Clayton into Clayton.
Get the DVDs first.
Shonash ravine. They're right behind you, but don't do that because I need those for videos and research. This is a real economical super chat. This guy made sure that his $5 went as far as they could go. What else, DJ?
So he says, how has your appreciation of music affected your opinion in films and shows?
I want Geoff to field this first, because that has to affect your viewing of stuff. You know, like how much do you think about score when you're watching a thing, and how does it affect your enjoyment of it?
A few movies have a score that is so good that I really notice, gosh, I am enjoying this score. There's a wide swath in the middle where the score is perfectly fine, but I don't find myself thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Because it blends into the story and the scene and everything else, and it's part of a unitary experience.
And if the movie's doing its job, you're caught up in it the way you should be.
And then there are a few movies where the score I just find too difficult to tolerate to enjoy the movie at all. Like Daredevil, I couldn't enjoy the movie at all because I hated the music too much.
That's fair.
And it could have been a good movie. I don't know. I'll never know.
It's also not. I mean, the director's cut is better. But
I feel I could watch it on mute with closed captioning, but that seems like a lot more effort than most movies are worth to me.
Should we do that? Should we start putting out versions of films that are like use your own soundtrack? So you just have like the sound effects and the dialogue, but in case you hated our score version.
Hunchback of Notre Dame has an amazing score.
It does.
And head and shoulders even above a lot of the other Mencken things I've seen. Harry Potter 6, amazing score.
Amazing score.
Well, all the Harry Potter movies have amazing score.
But especially that
6
one.
6 was a real standout.
I didn't know you had that with that. Like, I liked that so much. I kept talking about it, and Mom bought me the CD for my birthday or something one year. I didn't know that you latched onto it the same way I did.
That was the first one whose score really impressed me since the first one.
Yeah.
Not that the others were bad, just I didn't think about them.
Well, in the first two and then a lot of 3, obviously, just using a lot of what was there already because they're sequels and it's a John Williams thing. But then by 6, by 4, really, we're not. John Williams
is not really
scoring them anymore,
writing them anymore. Because
I don't even think he did 3, did he?
I can't remember. I thought he did the first 3, but I could be mistaken. He's getting up there. He's not working as much as he used to.
Right.
He's only written like 1,000 movies.
Well, and that was over a decade ago now. I mean, well, what am I talking about? 15 years ago.
It's because I'm a lot farther away from the microphone, by the way.
What is?
That I sound so much quieter.
Oh, well, yeah. So, Jeff's a little farther away from the microphone, but that's always the case anyway, because, like, your voice doesn't carry like mine does.
It's also because of my gentle nature.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Because that's a thing!
Well, DJ, we could all talk more about this, but let's go ahead and move on because there's lots of other questions.
All right, we actually have a $10 super chat from Azim. Ahoy hoy.
Ahoy hoy.
That's great. Go ahead.
Ahoy hoy, everyone. Where do you guys stand on the whole objective versus subjective criticism of art debate? I, for one, am hugely conflicted.
Well, that is just really broad and generalized, right? So it's like, I'm gonna be a broken record. There's no way around it. The way I always land is your opinion of whether or not you enjoy a thing is not necessary. If we're just talking about, he said art, right? Whether or not you like or enjoy a thing does not necessarily have to have anything to do with whether or not it's good or it works, right? There is obviously some leeway and gray area even in that, in deciding whether or not a thing is effective at what it's doing. There are still facts that are not in dispute, though. Usually, if someone is right, and if somebody like has evidence to back this up, and they are correct, and they say this part of this film doesn't make sense, that's not really a subjective thing. Whether or not a thing is like I don't know, sometimes realism you can argue about, but just like this character's motivation doesn't make sense. Okay, why do you say that? Well, because X, Y, and Z. Like, usually that's not a disputable thing if they're right about it. But where I think there's a disconnect with some people is folks like to sometimes assume if you were saying a thing doesn't work, you're also saying that everyone is now no longer allowed to like what they like. These are separate issues. These are different things. So if I criticize a movie, that doesn't mean necessarily that I think the whole thing is not worthwhile or awful. And whether or not, and even if I love a thing, it might on the whole be awful and not work at all, but there's something I latched onto because that's how feelings work. That's how opinions work.
I think, or at least in the experience I've had talking art, and I've done that for a long time, a person can go to a place where they look at everything as being objective, and a person can go pretty far with that and end up talking complete nonsense.
Yeah.
Just total crazy town. A person can also approach art from a position of pure subjective. Everything's opinions, everything's feelings, everything's a point of view. And the end of that road is also nonsense. Crazy town. A person needs both a grounding in objectivity and an awareness of what is subjective in our experience to be able to talk sense about anything.
Yeah.
Art or science, really. You have to be aware of what's objective. You have to be aware of how our subjective perceptions play into our understanding of things. And you have to acknowledge them both to make any sense to me. So, yes.
It depends.
That is a fantastic response. Next time I get a real heady question like that, I'm just gonna spew out a whole bunch of whatever comes to my head, and then have you make it more concise for me. I think that's my plan. DJ, did you want to weigh in on that at all?
No, I think you guys covered it well. We talked about it before.
College. I don't even know what that means.
I went to more.
I was gonna say you went to more. I don't know what you even mean when you say college, boy. You're saying you're a college? Okay, so here's where I'm going to fight you tooth and nail on that. To say I'm more concise than you because I went to college is absurd.
But using more bigger words.
Well, yeah, but
that's a clear symptom.
Really? Did you, in your response, were you any less or more on a 10th grade level than I was? I don't believe you were, sir.
Because articulate powers sometimes fail.
I'm not even saying you weren't articulate. I'm just saying, you're saying that somehow you had more sophisticated language than I did, and I don't think that's true.
Sometimes I just say things that are absurd because it's so much fun to watch you react.
I also think it's objectively true that Sorry, DJ, go ahead, buddy.
No, you're fine. I have some quicker ones here, some less dense questions. Geoff, what's your favorite Pixar score?
Or possibly more dense, depending on how you look.
Pixar score. liked the first Incredibles movie score a lot. Michael Giacchino there. I really like this. I really like the score of Brave. I didn't expect to, but I really did.
I've only seen that once and haven't thought much about the music in that.
I think the score was stronger in some ways than the film. Yeah, probably one of those two.
I think hands down their best score is still Monsters Incorporated. I just don't think you get any better than that score. Incredibles gets close. I'm so about jazzy scores as part of the thing. And I was really impressed with Monsters University's score just because I didn't feel the need to do that. Like, it has a different subject matter, and so it goes a whole other direction.
They pick kind of a color musically.
Yeah.
And they work inside it. And in that way they're able to use the music in a way to make their world feel more coherent and consistent.
And how annoying...
And that's how to do it.
With University, how annoying could a marching band, like an entire marching band soundtrack be? But it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. But...
They have some folks out there who make very good decisions, objectively.
And I like some of the popular music, kind of incidental choices in Cars.
I mean, Cars uses a lot of music that would not have made it onto my iPod personally, but in the film it holds together and works emotionally so well.
Yeah, especially the Route 66 flashback.
Yeah. Do we have another Cars fan in here?
Oh, yeah. Geoff likes Cars as much more than I do.
They didn't use any of the versions of Route 66 that I really like, but I still really like their use of the ones that they did.
Yeah.
And they hit exactly where they needed to.
How do you fall on 3? Because we haven't talked about that yet, because we haven't done a Pixar discussions on it.
If Cars 3 had been the second Cars movie, it would have been an okay sequel.
Yeah, that's my review, too. Yep.
It was...
I would have taken
been weird, though.
But that would also be my review.
Cars 3 was not as good as Cars 1, but it was better than any other sequel with a 3 in it that I could name offhand. With the possible exception of Toy Story 3, but there you go.
DJ, I'm kind of lost on where we're at. Have we done some pre-written? Was the last thing a super chat?
That was a pre-written. We can do one more. We can jump
do
to
pre-written and then jump back to the super chats.
All right. Ryder says, how does Stepdad feel about the state of the Fantastic Beasts films?
Oh, good question.
I will keep watching them.
But why?
Begrudgingly.
Because I'm enough interested in that universe to want to see where this is going and how this unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
I found the second movie genuinely confusing. And I don't think I could name... The last time I found a movie genuinely confusing, it was directed by David Lynch.
Yeah.
I thought that... there are... when you get franchises like this, you get the thing where the first movie makes sense and kind of is a good capsule by itself, and then the jump from part 1 to movie 2 is huge and disorienting. Harry Potter 1 to Harry Potter 2 is a little bit like that, both in the books and the movies. But Fantastic Beasts 1 to Fantastic Beasts 2, I still don't feel comfortable with how those have anything to do with each other. Other than Eddie Redmayne is still fun to watch. And, man, he makes up for a lot of sins.
That's true.
It'd be fun to watch if he was playing, like, the Doctor.
Boy, he would be a good Doctor.
And I know I'm not the first person to say that.
Or what he's doing there is so strongly inspired by
it is. Well, and I think he's maybe gone on record to say he wanted that role, but I don't remember. But yeah, I didn't bother with 2 because I thought the first film was pretty awful.
And the first one I didn't feel as confused by it, but it sure has so much stuff.
I mean, I knew what was going on. I just didn't like any of it.
Weird. I don't hate them. There are movies I hate a lot worse than them. I'll keep watching this series out unless they get even worse than they are.
Eric, and again, we didn't see the second one, but Eric was like, and I think he said this on the channel, but I'll mention it to Geoff because I think it's funny. Eric was like, we should get rid of the Fantastic Beasts like title is the overhead, and make the title that pulls all those movies together and where to find them. Like whatever the title is just whatever and where to find them, and I think that's really fun.
Because really,
The Crimes of Grindelwald and Where to Find Them.
Where to find them?
Because, well, really, it is a 5-movie series that should have been called Newt Scamander Saves the World. Or Newt Scamander's Amazing Adventures. Because
That's
it
true.
already had...
If he's going to be the protagonist of those films, that's only going to make sense when he's killed off or written out for some reason.
Yeah.
But 2 movies, he's the main guy, so why isn't his name in the title? That's a terrific point.
And the Beasts, at least from movie 1 to movie 2, are moving more and more to the margin as the human story begins to take over.
Well, I felt they were too marginalized in the first film, honestly,
Yeah,
and that we didn't have any fun with them. Like I didn't think we did. I didn't think they were interesting. Like the designs and stuff. I didn't. You know, it needs to be like Pokemon where I want to collect them all, and I did not care. Like,
and they,
There's one cool beast in the second one. That's a cool idea. Where it comes from the Chinese dragon myth comes from it. It's pretty cool.
But I had to watch it a second time to even get that. Like the first time I watched it, that thing, it looks kind of Chinese. Oh, whoa, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then this guy. I feel like you want me to know who this man is, but I have no idea who it is. There are so many characters like that.
DJ, let's get back to the super chats, man.
All right, we got Jeffrey Patron jumping in with the $5 super chat.
Hey, Jeffrey, good to see you, buddy.
Musician you'd like to see on soundtrack duty for your favorite property.
Wow, that's a good way. It's easier when you throw a property out in the first place, because like first of all, I have to go, what's my favorite property? Like after
This is nice.
all the great stuff that Zimmer did. Yeah, thanks, man. Who do you think should score it though? But like, you know, after the stuff Zimmer did with Batman, like who do I want on Batman right away? I don't like I don't
Well, he says soundtrack, so I don't know if he's talking about score or I guess we could talk about both.
Sure.
Like a Pixar movie based on with a Meatloaf-oriented soundtrack.
I'm just immediately not seeing that. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do it. Meatloaf.
Or you know, a superhero film.
That'll be one of the ones that you release without the score.
Full of sounds from Leon Redbone.
Could you imagine? I want to go back to Meatloaf for a minute. Could you imagine if we, and it wasn't even like Meatloaf doing new stuff. It was just like, we're gonna take a movie and score the whole thing with Bat Out of Hell, like front to back. It's gonna be like Bat Out of Hell the musical. Man, I don't know why that artist turns my stomach. Like if I
Meatloaf
listen
has
to
the same effect on
Meatloaf,
me.
but I like to eat Meatloaf. I just don't like to listen to him. Like,
But I won't do that.
Anyway, DJ, does anything
Make a
immediately?
movie out of Styx Kilroy album.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be great.
Someone needs to do that.
I mean, I'd like to see one made out of The Mission, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that would also be very good.
Because it's a concept album in the first place. It has a story. Like you could make that. DJ, does anything immediately come to your brain where it's like, here's my favorite artist?
Not necessarily. I would say that watching Spider-Verse made me really wish that we had more hip-hop soundtracks for movies. And there's an artist I like a lot called NF, who's a hip-hop artist. And he uses a lot of really cool atmospheric background beats with like orchestral singers and instruments in it. And I think it'd be pretty cool for a really intense kind of dark movie.
How cool
I don't really know what it would be for, but
Pogo.
that would be awesome.
I'm going to go to a thing that's going to sound like the most obvious response for me, but I've never said this before, so I guess I'll go ahead and do it. TMBG Hitchhiker.
Yes.
Like, duh.
Yes.
Like, yes,
Captain
of course.
the movie.
Yeah.
Made specifically for you.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
meeting
No, that's made for
giants.
this room and Jeffrey Patron and maybe like 6 other people, but yeah.
Make
Although,
it so.
I would, this is a poll I'd love to take. Like, I don't know how I would get the right sample set for this, but I would imagine that the majority of Team BG fans have read or listened to at least part of Hitchhiker. It's hard to believe that very many They Might Be Giants fans have never looked at that. The reverse is not necessarily true.
No. But the basis in whimsy is so similar for both of those.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see a movie scored by Buckethead.
Definitely buckets in my family.
Buckethead.
All right.
That guy is amazing.
And did Devo ever do a soundtrack? Like a full movie score or soundtrack?
Only if you count the Lego movie.
Well, I don't think Devo actually worked on the Lego movie. Really?
Mike Mothersbaugh.
Wait, really? I didn't know that. Okay. Well, you learn something new every day. I mean, it all makes sense now, but I didn't know that. Okay. DJ, let's get another question, man.
All right, back to the pre-written questions, whatever that means.
The ones that didn't just come in and give us money. That's
the free written questions.
Free writing.
Are we gonna start saying that? That sounds awful. We're just like the freeloader questions. That's not nice. That's not nice at all. Thanks.
We need a special theme music for that.
Hey, thanks to everybody, regardless of super chat. We want everyone here. We want everyone, regardless. Okay.
Yeah, we don't discriminate.
None of you
Five.
are trash.
Trash.
You know who you are.
Go ahead, DJ.
Did you guys talk about that in the... Never mind. I was going to talk about Toy Story 4. 5590ERS
Yeah,
asks...
if anybody... Because we've been talking a lot of Pixar tonight. If anybody wants to talk Toy Story 4 spoilers, we can do it next week. This is what I usually do with movies that just came out. Because that just came out, and so it would be unfair to do spoilers tonight. But we can do some spoiler talk next week.
Okay.
The review that Geoff and I did was as long as a spoiler cast almost, but didn't actually include a lot of spoilers. It's minor spoilers, but we didn't go to the ending or anything. So we could do some of that next week if anybody wants to. I said that with Dark Phoenix, and then there were no Dark Phoenix questions because that movie was awful and nobody cared. But I think Toy Story 4 people might actually
Did they make a Dark
have
Phoenix
some
movie?
We've got two now. Go ahead, DJ.
I remember the cartoon, but
What are you talking about?
Would you have wanted a sequel to Ben Affleck's Daredevil, Ang Lee's Hulk, or 2004 Punisher?
So are you making a joke with the thing you're saying, or are you actually talking about X-Men? I'm not sure.
yeah, I was talking about X.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you know X3 was like loosely Dark Phoenix, and then Dark Phoenix is also loosely the Dark Phoenix, and it's just X3 but like different. Anyway, okay. So Ang Lee, let's start at the beginning. So Daredevil.
Yes, I would.
Yes, of course. It's hard to put yourself back in the place and time because now we've had a Netflix show whose first season is still, in my mind, maybe the greatest superhero adaptation on screen. But back in the day, yes, of course, and I think you could have gotten more sophisticated material out of that continuity. Ang Lee's Hulk is a really interesting movie. I think it's in such a weird place at the end. I would not have been that interested in the sequel. Or maybe it could have been a little bit more grounded. I mean, I guess it could have worked. I think even at the time I would not have been real stoked about that. What was the third?
Crouching Hulk.
Punisher 2004.
I would have liked the sequel to that movie. I think that is a solid film.
Cool.
And I would have liked the sequel to that was a little bit more comic book, but not going as far as Warzone went, because Warzone is fun, but it's insane, and But again, we now have a TV show that is superior to any of that. So, yeah.
I would have really liked I already wanted a sequel to 2003 Hulk, but after Dan pitched the what was supposed to be the sequel to it in the SSSS recently.
I didn't see that. I haven't.
It's really interesting. It's supposed to take place on like a Native American reservation, which we never get movies about, and that's really interesting to me. So
I'm Kirok.
It would have been really cool.
That's true, but would he have been rampaging through casinos? Is that?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay, all right.
Dude, that's racist.
It's not. There's a lot of casinos on Indian reservations. That was a legitimate question.
And on fake islands.
And in the city we live in. Anyway.
On fake islands.
We don't have Geoff here enough. We really don't. DJ, let's.
We have a moats that encircle them.
Here to save the day.
On an island, so it's technically a boat.
DJ, where are we? Where are we on the goal so far?
We are
Have you been
5, 10,
He's not been keeping track.
$22.
Oh, okay. Well, that is probably not going to happen this evening. But thanks to everybody that's dropped super chats. Go ahead, DJ.
Super chat.
We have a $2 super chat, which is how we pushed over the $20 mark. Do you think we will get a decent Darkman reboot?
I don't know that anybody's even talking about that. I mean, everything ends up getting rebooted, so if there has been anything, I haven't heard any wind of it. It's one of those things where if it was going to be done, I'd probably like to see the original director do it. Like, I think Sam Raimi could probably make a really good Darkman remake, but I don't know if I would want to see anybody else try it. That's my answer to that. Like, I think that is material you could improve upon, potentially. It would be a little bit sad to see it done without Liam Neeson, but it's not really a thing I want, so. I mean, rebooting The Crow is more annoying to me, but it's not really a thing I need. Certainly.
But that's never going to happen. That's been talked about forever.
Yeah, the Crow keeps going through crazy development hell. Like, it almost happened, and then it didn't, and then it almost happened, and then it didn't. And I don't know. You say never. Like, everything's gets rebooted eventually. Is what we're learning. Like, I think it will happen. I just think that by the time it does, anyone that would care to see it will be dead. I think that's where we're at with The Crow. Anyway, go ahead.
Cap, what would you pitch for a reboot or return of Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, and will you cover the TV movie pilot on a superhero rewind in the future?
Yeah, sure. That's not a bad idea. I mean, it's close enough to superhero. I would certainly consider doing that. What would you want to do with a reboot? I mean, like, 2D animation is almost like, or maybe it just straight up is more expensive now than 3D animation. Like, I think you could do almost like Toy Story movie level CG and do it on regular television. What was nice about
remembers how to do it anymore.
What was really nice about that show being in 2D though was that it differentiated the universes. Yeah. It gave you the sense that you were watching the Saturday morning cartoon show that Andy would have been watching, and that's what was really cool about it. However, if Andy grew up in 2019, it would be that. Okay, so what I would do with it, the more I'm thinking about it, is I would make it an in-universe reboot. I would say that the people who made Buzz Lightyear of Star Command are now rebooting their own show, and then make it 3D animation, because that's what it would be, and that's how you get away with that. And then, I don't know, maybe do like the Crazy Town Looney Tunes, like what would a, like, I don't know, like an edgier Buzz Lightyear, but not so edgy that it's like really dark, but just like pretend like you're doing the edgier version. Like, actually reboot it, like make it kind of different. Make it a like
Tim Burton and Danny Elfman's Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, this was a really hard line to walk.
Spider webs and black and white stripes all over.
Exactly, like yeah. Make it like Eastman and Laird's Buzz Lightyear, like in
that I want to see.
It would, yeah. You do like Frank Miller's Buzz Lightyear. Like you'd be dancing on the edge of awful. But what I think, and that's where I draw the line. You'd be dancing on the edge of awful. But I think it could be kind of fun to see if you could make a show that was actually like really fun and entertaining, but also kind of like what the bad reboot of Buzz Lightyear would be. That's what I would do with it. I don't know what that is, but that sounds really entertaining.
That's interesting because that's something we never talk about in the Toy Story movies. Sorry.
What's that, DJ?
That's something that we never talk about in the Toy Story movies is that, like, that, obviously that's how it opens, is that we've moved on from Woody, and the second one touches on Woody being an old toy, and that Buzz replaces him. But then in Toy Story 2, like 4 years later, Buzz is still, like, on the entire shelf. Like, he's still the number one toy. Like, he can't be that by the time we get to Toy Story 3 and 4.
Well, here's the thing, though. Aren't we pretty ambiguous about how much time passes until you get to 3 and Andy's grown up and about to go to college? Like, is it 4 years in between 1 and 2?
Well, we see that his sister's older and the dog is older. He's not a puppy anymore.
Okay, I just couldn't.
So it's at least been a few years.
I don't know how much older the dog seemed to me.
I
don't know if I'd give him 4 years.
Well, also,
yeah, maybe not 4, but it's at least
the
a
dog's
couple
older in 3. But you see the dog for the first time at the beginning of 2. How do you know he's older?
No, we see the.
Because at the end of 1, you hear his.
You
bark,
hear it. You don't see the dog. You don't know how much older the dog is.
I don't know.
Lost DJ for a second, but DJ, but don't you remember? You don't see the dog at the end of 1.
Yeah, but I mean, it's clear time has passed. Like it's not like they just went right into the second movie. Like they've been friends for a while.
No, I
They've
know
had
some
it.
time had passed, but I don't know if I buy
Could
4
be a
years.
year, could be 4, could be 20.
Yeah.
Could be 100.
And then 4 after 3 is interesting.
Maybe not.
Because 4 does seem to be immediately after 3, and it's weird because at the beginning of that film, minor spoilers. Beginning of that film, there's a flashback and it says 9 years ago, but it has to be, which is funny because that's actually how many years are between the 2 films, but it actually has to be 8 or 9 years before 3.
Yeah.
Not before where you are now, because Bonnie's the same age and just about to go into kindergarten.
Yeah.
So it's funny they used 9.
I don't know how any of that math works.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure Disney does either.
Yeah, me neither. But the thing I thought you were gonna mention, DJ, is that nobody ever really talks about a TV show. There's a video game, but nobody really talks about a Buzz Lightyear TV show in that universe.
And yet, surely there would have.
You
been
have to
one.
assume there was one. Yeah.
I mean, any toy that took up that much shelf on a toy store clearly has enough marketing push behind it to also have a Saturday cartoon and probably a cereal as well.
Well, there's definitely a series, but we see a lot of merchandise.
It's definitely a series.
Mutale says Zack Snyder Buzz Lightyear. You know what's crazy about the merchandising for Toy Story 4?
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan's Buzz Lightyear. I was in a Target last night. I almost said Toys R Us. I was not. I took my Wayback Machine. I went to Toys R Us last night. I was in a Target last night, and I saw no fewer than 5 different displays and end caps for Toy Story 4 merchandise, and I never saw the same merchandise on any of them. Wow. There was so much stuff. And, you'd expect that, but they went overboard this time. I've seen no fewer than 15 different versions of Forky. It's like 15 Forkies.
Oh, Molly.
And at first, I thought it was really silly to make Forky merchandise because I was like, well, it's a sport that you can make it for free. But then I saw the movie, and yeah, I want Forky stuff too. Forky's great. And I thought I was gonna hate that. I will go on record to say Forky is automatically one of my favorite Toy Story characters. He might be in my top 3. In fact, before that movie came out, I think somebody last week on the Captain Logan show or somewhere asked me who my favorite Toy Story character was, and I was like, I don't know, there's several that are on par. It might be Forky now, because I can actually say I love Forky, apart from other characters.
Is a Zen master.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's the existential center of the Pixar universe.
And he's getting his own TV show, and, that shouldn't work, but I think it could. Yeah, he's getting a Disney Plus show. It's going to be called Forky Asks a Question, and each episode is just Forky asking some kind of, existential or just really normal person question, because I saw a log line for it, and it was he asks the big deep questions like what is life, and a couple other things, and the last one is and the thing we've all asked ourselves, what is cheese? And I was like, I'm gonna love this show. This show is amazing. T-Edge1 says, Cap, you are my trash. That is the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. DJ,
what is the nature of time?
Should we get back to the Super Chats?
We should. We got 2 more.
We got about 10 minutes left in the show proper.
We got a $6.99 one from the Day Ghost.
Thanks, man.
What's up, Austin? So a purple-haired captain.
Day Ghost? Glad you didn't.
So
spend $7.
He says, so a purple-haired captain, the Geoff, and the welder walk into a bar.
That's hilarious. Okay, so we're gonna try not.
Got to look where I'm going.
We're gonna try not to spend too much more time on this because it seems like every week we have a whole section about the welder. But we got to catch Geoff up. So DJ, explain to Geoff what the welder is.
What is
the welder? Is my MCU character apparently. I don't know if you know. I don't know if we've talked about this. I got to be an extra on the as a high schooler in the set of Spider-Man: Homecoming, and I got to be in a shop class scene where they taught me how to weld in the background. I'm sitting behind Spider-Man and his friend while they're working on Shocker's gauntlet thing. So the fans have dubbed me the welder because that's what I was doing, and that's my only character trait.
We decided that his character grows up and becomes a villain named the Welder, and that he actually chose that as his occupation, but illegally apparently.
I'm always beneath you. Nothing is beneath me.
Somebody actually said one of the weeks that they would like a crossover with him in the welder.
That did come up, actually. That came up on the SSSS, yeah.
I think the welder would be a good member to join the A-team.
Kellen, DJ did talk about this on the video where I interviewed him about that experience, but I'm sure he could break it down briefly again. Kellen O'Rourke wants to know, DJ, if you got to talk to Tom Holland.
Oh, yeah. He was, if you look in the scene, he's literally a foot away from me. So we shot that scene for like we shot that scene for like an hour. So we got to talk in between takes a little bit. He was just like a normal kid, like he was just talking about movies and stuff and talking about doing flips and jumping around. But yeah, he was really cool, and he stayed in his American accent the whole time. He was super professional. But also
how many
a lot of
spoilers did he give you for the movie or other movies that were on the horizon?
I got a lot of spoilers for that movie, but he did not give them to me, so he wasn't leaking stuff that day.
Tom Holland is notorious for spoiling Marvel movies to the point where like he goes on talk shows and he just tells everyone everything, and to the point. I was
thinking of Tom Felton. Sorry.
To the point where he is only given like part of the script. Like they don't even let him know what's going to happen in the movie anymore because he's constantly spoiling the films.
So they both had hammers in that scene, if you remember, but they were like fake rubber hammers. So he was like swinging them around and pretending to be the chick from the Raid movies, and then he started hitting me on the arm because showing me that they were soft. It was really funny. But then my favorite thing that we did was an awkward handshake that we did. After the scene ended and he was walking out, he was shaking all our hands, and I went in for a shake and he went in for like a dab, and we did that awkward thing where you like switch places and you don't know what you're gonna do. So we eventually did like this gear shift looking thing where we just like did half and half, and then he said, "Let's just stay here for a minute," and we just kind of held hands for a few seconds. So it was really awkward and fun.
That's sweet.
You like shifted it into turbo, DJ.
Yeah, I should have grabbed his arm.
Yeah, I just been like, it's Morphin time.
I should have did this.
However, that one is easier to remember than the Zeo one, which has like 19 moves.
Yeah.
More than meets the eye.
Okay.
Oh man, we got a crazy super chat. Another one from Azim.
Wow, thanks, man. Jeez.
$20 super chat.
And he just did another one. Well, thanks, man. You did not have to do that, but we appreciate you, buddy.
You're
well, his first one.
Subscriber of the night.
Did he? Yeah. He should get something special. I don't know what yet.
The top 10 list of.
Yes. Yeah. He should get that. Yeah. You know what? We should let him pick.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, we'll take other suggestions, but.
He gave us $50 tonight,
yeah,
so
he may ultimately
pony up to this guy's mark, right?
Yeah, we really do. Okay, was there a question that accompanied the first one?
Yeah, he says, I think he's talking about himself. Azimoto to the rescue. Oh, apologies for the broadness of my previous super chat, Cap. I understand you are tremendously busy, but I'm still waiting with bated breath for your Sci-Fi Rewind review of Blade Runner.
Well, thanks, man. It will happen eventually. It has been really hard to write scripts lately with as much as is going on during the summer, and I hate to make excuses, but that is what I've been out of town and stuff. But I've got another Sci-Fi Rewind that I'm working on right now because of another request, and then Blade Runner will be down the road. I got to do some more superhero rewinds and stuff. But
does the Coyote ever catch the Blade Runner?
Yeah, and he's always he's like an android that just speaks in like sheets of paper. Yeah. It's kind of weird. You'd think that his technology would be more advanced than that, but like he can make the piece of paper come out of his hand.
Mail order from Acme, I guess.
Yeah, he's an Acme replicant. Yep. No one knows what you're talking about except for Geoff Patron. Okay, what else?
So we are. This is really sad, but we're only at 69. So if somebody wants to give us $6,
time for another $6.99.
Well, we've still got about 5 minutes, guys. So if you
Make it happen, man.
if
5
somebody
minutes.
wants to do it, feel free, and if not, that's fine too. And I'll just come up with something really nice to do for Azim. Azim will get a top 10 list, and no one else will get to see it. That's what will end up happening.
Okay.
Here's what we're gonna
We'll
do
never
though.
make it public.
Here's what we're gonna do though. Assuming that, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but assuming that either we get there, or I need a topic for Azim. Azim, we're gonna look at yours first. So if you have a really good idea, go ahead and throw it out. But if other people have ideas too, feel free to go ahead and start pitching those, and we'll start looking at them. I kind of want to give Azim preference on this, but he may just end up not having an idea, or doesn't have anything he wants us to do, or pitches something that I don't know enough about. I don't know yet. But anyway. DJ, do we have any other super chats? Dagos just gave us another one. Thanks, man.
There it is. Well, I didn't actually read his second one. He gave us another $20 super chat.
Dagos just wrote, this probably doesn't count because it's Canadian money.
Yes, it's Canadian.
So Azim says, feeling generous today, boys. And then, obviously, the Dagos gave us the last $7 to get us over the hump. If that indeed translates. I don't know.
Well, we're just gonna pretend like it does. So we'll go ahead and do that. I will do some kind of a top 10 list. Noah always says top 10 Wilhelm screams. That sounds really hard. I would have to do a lot of research, and I'm sure like Looper or someone has already made a better episode or a better video than I would make on that subject.
Well, I'm sure they've made one.
Mutala says he can't send super chats in his country. Well, that's okay, man. Thanks for popping in, dude. As always.
You send your presents to us.
Yeah. Mutale's the guy that called me fat, right? Or was that something else?
And he'll never live it down.
Was that Mutale? No, we appreciate you, man.
Someone had to say it.
Madman, I am not narcissistic enough to make a top 10 superhero rewinds video. I'm just not narcissistic enough.
What do you think he is? Watch Mojo?
Do they do that? Do they make videos about their own videos?
Boy, it seems like they would.
Really?
I don't know if they actually ever have. But...
They seem more professional than that to me. I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of Watch Mojo, but I've watched some of their lists and they seem kind of cool.
Professional is never.
I watched a top 10 Turbo episodes when we were doing Morphomania, so I could think about what Turbo episodes we should do.
Oh, okay. How many people do they have making videos on that channel? It's got to be a lot, right?
I think so. I think they split it up.
It's got to be like 35,000.
Because it's all the topics range even more than what you do on this channel.
Dr. Loopy. Hi, Dr. Loopy. That's not a name that I recognize. Top 10 Pixar scores.
Oh, that's...
Pixar scores. Superman TAS episodes. That's the thing I eventually want to do a rewind on. MCU moments. Batman movies. Just favorite comics. I've considered doing a favorite single issues list. Mutale top 10 prequelitis moments. That's a good one. That's pretty good. That sounds hard, but that's a good one.
Top 10 numbers between 1 and 10.
Wait! I don't understand this, but I love it. Cinematographic top 10 stop firing rockets at my house scenes. What?
Top 10 Kurt kills the computer scenes.
Name one off the top of your head. Not that. Name one scene where it's like, stop firing rockets at my house. What is that? Top 10 Vince moments. Top 10
Vince with gusto.
Stan Lee cameos with gusto. Top 10 cringy moments on film.
Well, I typed in stop firing and rockets at my house came up in Google. So it's a thing.
It's a thing? I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is. Okay.
I don't know. I think it's a Grand Theft Auto thing.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I don't understand.
I thought it was hilarious, and I didn't even understand the context. Top 10 superhero landings. Have we heard one yet from the guy that gave us 75% of tonight's...
No. Azim, hop in and give us some ideas.
Surprise me. Hit me with your best shot.
Yeah, guys, I'm not going to make a top 10 list about Geekvolution stuff, probably. Unless I can come up with one that's not very self-aggrandizing, because I mean it is the 10-year anniversary, so like something with that could be cool. But
Top 10 worst superhero castings isn't bad.
ooh, that's not bad. Yeah, that also sounds like a rewind, but I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I could do one off the top, off the cuff, not off the top of my head. I would plan it. I would write things. I would
Topher
write
Grace.
some stuff down.
Would Topher Grace be your number one?
Yes. Mr. Roboto, $2 super chat. Are you keeping up with current Spawn? No, I'm not, and my brain thanks me. Yeah, no, I dropped off that a good long time ago, and I'll occasionally crack one open and be like, "Yep, it still is."
Ooh, I hope so.
Yeah, I think Simon Krasinski came back for a little while, and you know, I like his artwork a lot, but I think he got really. You could tell just reading it, he was sick of being there. Azim is back. Azim gave us another super chat too.
Yeah.
We were looking for you, buddy. You didn't have to do that. We would have found it. Top 10 canceled superhero films. That's a good one. Top 10 non-superhero comic book film adaptations. That's a good one. Or Cap's top 10 favorite films generally. I like all three of those. I'm going to pick one out of those three. And I don't mean to be all favoritism guy, but I'm going to because he gave us a lot of money. And also because... well, I mean, he got us to the goal, like, not single-handedly. I mean, thanks to everybody else also, of course.
Yeah, Day Ghost and Jeffrey Patron.
Yeah, you guys, yeah, thanks to everybody. But
Mr. Roboto.
I just felt like he deserved something cool for you know, donating that much tonight. But also, I genuinely like all three of his suggestions and more than anything else I've seen so far.
I like Anime 2019. Team Rocket blasting off. Can we do the top 10 Team Rocket blasting offs?
That's really funny. I'll get,
like Team Rocket's blasting off.
Guys,
again?
I'll get Jason right on that.
That'd be a lot of research. I think there's like 60 episodes in the first season.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. Noah says he'd like to see my top 10 favorite films. I've considered making a video like that, just general favorite films. That might be where I go.
You did it for your wife one time. Do you remember that? I think it was like her top 30.
Yeah, and it was a million years ago, and a lot of movies have come out since then. Her list was ridiculous, by the way.
A lot of people are liking the canceled superhero films, by the way.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you see, it's not just me. Other people are digging on his ideas, too. Okay, I'm going to do one of those three. And Mr. Roboto wants to know if I'm doing Pokemon Go. No, like everyone else, I did it for that first weekend and then never again. But luckily did not accidentally walk into a bus. Into like a moving bus or anything, into traffic or anything. Okay.
How often that happened?
You know, enough that I saw articles about it for quite a while, yeah.
It seems like something that would.
Mutale, top 10 watered down movies is not bad either. I would probably do something more like top 10 like compromised movies that like aren't actually movies. Like so much was cut out I can't even call them films anymore.
I think you'd have to bring that to top 40 watered down movies so you can water down the list.
Gotta water down the list, yeah. For like 20 of them barely even count. You're like, you should have made it a top 10 list. That's what I did! Don't you get that? It's like an analogy. It's like a... Anyway. Alright, well folks, thanks a lot for watching. Hope everybody had a good time. DJ, did we have any other super chats or anything that we didn't hit that we really need to get to? Or any other?
No.
Okay.
That is it. Azim, I got your 3 suggestions written down and we will discuss. So I'll send them to Cap for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Really appreciate everybody. Whether you helped us with the goal or not. Thanks everybody for being here and for your insightful and hilarious questions.
That's a good one.
And is it?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah, I wasn't there either. Geoff and I are doing a top secret commentary that we're not doing live. We're going to pre-record it, but that'll be up in a couple 3 weeks. And that's one of the reasons that he's over this evening. So we're going to go and do that right now. DJ and I are probably doing a commentary next week. I'm not sure on what yet, but we're going to start doing semi-regular commentaries right after this show. Not every Wednesday, but many Wednesdays. Many Wednesdays, DJ. Everybody, thanks so much for being here. I hope you had a great time. We certainly did. And I will come back and take a look at this list for other potential top 10s down the road because a lot of people have ideas and there are 2 or 3 people that have like 30 ideas just themselves, just by themselves. We'll see
top
everybody.
10 suggestions for top 10 lists.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. Well, that sounds really easy. I should do that. We will see everybody again next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Central. Thanks for being here on a weird evening. And thanks for watching this after the fact if you did that. I'm Captain Logan. This was the Geoff and the DJ.
I thought we had a deal.
Bye, everybody. See you.